I want to start with Democrats are now, this is from the New York Times, doing a deep dive on what went wrong in 2024. And they have decided that they need to do a better job of pursuing young men. And this is, this in many ways sounds like what you would say when you discover a new tribe that has never had contact with the outside world before. Democrats just sound completely broken when it comes to understanding how to have a conversation with normal men out there. And I saw this story over the weekend in the New York Times, and I just thought to myself, yes, we should definitely focus on this. Democrats, you'll nail it. This is from the New York Times. The prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democrat support among young men, especially online. And again, I'm reading from the New York Times. It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a Strategic Plan, and promises investment to, quote, study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things. I have talked about this quite a lot, and this is what my new book is about. It's about how Democrats lost young men. And I want to tell you a couple of analogies that are in the book. You can go buy it. Some of you are going to gasp a bit when you hear what it's called. But let me first thank President Trump for his endorsement. Some of you may have seen this over the weekend. He posted, this is President Trump. Clay Travis has a great, all caps, new book coming out November 4th, 2025. Balls, How Trump, Young Men, and Sports Saved America. Clay is a highly talented commentator who is tough, smart, and gifted with, all caps, common sense. He studied our historic movement from the very beginning, truly gets MAGA, MAGA loves him. Pre-order your copy today with a link. Again, the book is called, it's going to be out in November, but you can get it for $14, I think, right now on Amazon. Balls, How Trump, Young Men, and Sports Saved America. And the cover of the book has two basketballs on the cover. And some of you are going to say, oh my God, like you're so immature. And yes, that probably is somewhat true. But I also want for people to be gripped by the argument. And the cover of a book is, not surprisingly, an opportunity to grab people and make them think about something or see something that they may not have seen before. And so I've spent a great deal of time in the last several months diving into the data, analyzing what exactly is going on with young men. And I want to hit you with a couple of stories that really are in the book. And again, the book's going to be out in November. I think you guys are really going to like it. If you're audiobook people, I'll be reading it. Buck has got a great new book that's going to be out in January too. So we'll have a couple of good books. And I imagine that he's going to be reading his book too. So for those of you that are going to be on the road and don't necessarily want to read the book itself, you can get the audio version. But it's up on Amazon. It's only $14. And it'll be right there. And I appreciate President Trump for endorsing the book. They said, hey, how do you want to announce the book? And I said, well, I'd like for President Trump to announce it. I didn't know if he would. But on Sunday night, they popped me and said, hey, President he's going to be endorsing your book. He loves it. He's excited about the concept. And Trump gets it, right? Trump gets young men. But I want to talk to you. If you got kids or grandkids, I want to hit you with a couple of stories. Sometimes we don't see the world through the eyes of people who are of different ages than us, even though we might see many of the same things that they do. And I've got two stories that are examples and anecdotes that are in the book that really kind of crystallize the world for me. You guys know I have three boys, so I think about this quite a lot. Right now, they are 17, 14, and 10. Got one who's going to be a rising senior, rising ninth grader, rising fifth grader. So fairly different ages. But in the COVID era in 2020, my then 9-year-old, my middle son, like a lot of your kids or grandkids, was obsessed with football cards, basketball cards, baseball cards. I loved them when I was a kid. My boys got really into them as well. YouTube has really, I think, fueled this because you unpack, you open these, you break, as they call it, these cards, and you go through and you look at them, and they have all sorts of special cards. Really very cool. I mean, it takes me back in time every time I walk into a card shop with my boys. And it just reminds me of being in the 1980s, 1990s, for many of you, 60s, 70s, whenever you were into 2000s, baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards. And we were going to Target during the COVID era. Everything, by and large, shut down. My kids are really fired up about cards even more. This is when YouTube, it kind of took off. Card values skyrocketed. A lot of people sitting around watching. And we walked into Target. And this is before the Target tuck bathing suits went crazy, before Target's Pride Month insanity. We walked in, and my 9-year-old points to the very first clothing display in our local Target. This is Franklin, Tennessee. This is a red county in a red state. I'm not talking about walking in Times Square or something into a Target. This is Franklin, Tennessee, where I live, in Williamson County, just south of Nashville, Tennessee. Red county, red state. And he just said they would never have anything like, and I'm paraphrasing him, they would never have that for us. And I didn't really know what he was talking about. We looked over. He said they would never, and there's this huge display, all of girl power T-shirts, girls rule, girls, dominate, whatever it is, and girl power. He said they would never sell boy power shirts, Dad. I thought, it's really very interesting. I mean, I hadn't thought about it because I'm a generation older than him. And the generation that I grew up in is boys and girls should be equal. Boys and girls should all be able to be doctors or lawyers. You should all be able to pursue whatever career you want to. We should allow, regardless of whether you're a boy or girl, girls and boys to have equal success. And I went to law school at Vanderbilt, met his mom there. There were more girls in my law school class than boys. And there are way more girls now that graduate from college than boys who graduate from college, like 60-40. And you can imagine if 60% of college degrees still went to men instead of women, we would hear about it all the time. It would be one of the top talking points. Oh, look how sexist. Look how the patriarchy still dominates. I mean, we're talking about 60% of college degrees go to women, and the majority now of graduate degrees go to women too. And yet, you walk into a Target store, according to my then 9-year-old, and they get the message all the time, girls rule, boys basically stink. And they would never have a boy power T-shirt, and he was right. And shortly thereafter, they go to public school, K-6, all my boys have. One of their friends came in to the house, and he was talking about they had been having a history lesson at school. And the history lesson that he had taken as a young white kid was white people, white boys, white men ruin everything. And he was kind of jokingly sitting around, and he was like, Mr. Clay, they tell us that we have all this power. And he's like, my mom doesn't even let me pick what I get to eat for dinner. And it's funny, but it's also kind of sad because we've raised this entire generation of boys that has been told, not just white kids, black kids, Asian kids, Hispanic kids, hey, being a man, being a boy, there's something wrong with it. Your masculinity is toxic. And what I grapple with in this book is imagine that we raised an entire generation of boys and we told them that their identity was toxic. And then we shut down their schools and we shut down their sports teams and we told them that COVID was dangerous and masculinity is toxic. And they didn't get to go to prom, and they didn't get to finish their basketball season or their soccer seasons. And young girls are part of this too, but I think boys in particular is what I focused on because of the data. They're profoundly angry. young white, Hispanic, Asian, and black men are profoundly angry. And I really think that Trump, even though he's their grandfather, channels their anger at the establishment that took away part of their youth, that told all of them at birth, hey, you're toxic because you're masculine. Is it any wonder that they would be deeply searching for purpose in life? And then you downgrade religion. You tell them that being a provider is somewhat toxic too, that they should be beta male versions of themselves. They are fundamentally rejecting what I would call is the girl power era. And they're saying there's nothing wrong with being a boy. There's nothing wrong with growing up to be a man. And I think that a lot of moms out there right now are listening because you're raising boys. And I think a lot of grandmas are looking around like, when did all the men in the world turn into pussy willows? And I think that Trump has channeled that anger. And I also think that the younger boys are actually more conservative than the young boys who broke in huge numbers. And there's a big data analysis in this book, Balls. And again, you got to grab people's attention. There's a big part in the book. Do you know the two Trumpiest voting groups in America in the 2024 election were men over the age of 65 and young men 24 and younger? I bet never in history have young men and older men been more aligned than they are right now. And the older men are like, this whole generation is BS. But you know what the younger men are saying? You're right, Grandpa. This whole generation is BS. Now, people like me are kind of in the middle, right? Because I think we grew up in the era of, hey, women should be able to be successful. Yeah, good. Go be a doctor. Go be a lawyer. That's fine. But I think this younger generation, it's moved from women should be successful to men are bad. We have dragged down men to elevate women, and I think they see it, they feel it, they're being taught it. And so this book that I wrote is a complete examination of that era. And I don't think anybody else has told the story. Again, it comes through the world of sports, COVID, all of it rolls together to create what may be the most conservative generation that any of us have ever seen in terms of young men. And I see it as a dad because the younger men are moving even more conservative. And the line of demarcation to me is COVID. COVID was the breaking point. The point in time where a lot of these young men said, no, we're being lied to. If you lied to me about COVID, why should I listen to you about gender issues? Why should I trust you on anything? And I think Trump and his disruptive bravery, I'll talk about that in a second when I come back, connects with them on a visceral level, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. It's not just white kids. It's young men of all ages the data is reflecting. Let's talk about it. When we come back, owning gold no longer reserved for the uber wealthy. It's available to everybody because companies like Birch Gold have made it possible to own as a part of your 401k or your IRA. For that matter, you can just as easily own gold that you can hold in your hand, and you can store it in a safe place. This is a tangible asset at a time when you may feel like the intangible assets, stocks, bonds, all those things don't feel as safe. Buck was smart. He got gold years ago. And in fact, that gold has gone up more than 160% in value to date. It's easier to purchase gold than it ever has been before. And there are many ways to do it. One of the best ways is through taking advantage of learning about gold for your portfolio. Just text my name, Clay, to 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold, no obligation, only useful information. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, tens of thousands of happy customers. Text the name Clay to 989898 or go online to birchgold.com/Clay. That's my name, Clay, to 989898. Go online to birchgold.com/Clay.